To really understand cybersecurity, you have to understand compliance. Compliance is how organizations show that security policies are actually being followed, risks are actually being managed, and controls are actually working. It's what connects security teams to audits, regulations, and real business requirements. I'm Sid, a senior admin with over 6 years of experience. I'm currently working in the field and I've helped dozens of people break into GRC and manage multiple roles at the same time. In this video, I'm going to walk you through cybersecurity compliance step by step. We'll break down what compliance really looks like inside of a company, how audits actually work, and how compliance fits into a cybersecurity career without overwhelming you with unnecessary details. By the end of this video, you'll understand what compliance actually means, why companies care so much about it, and how it fits into the bigger cybersecurity picture. Let's get into it. Let's start with the core idea. Cybersecurity compliance is about proof. Companies can say they take security seriously. They can say they protect customer data. They can say they follow strict policies. But compliance asks one simple question: where's the evidence? Compliance is how organizations demonstrate that their security policies are actually being followed. For example, a company might say employees must use strong passwords. Compliance asks, are the passwords actually required in the system? Is there documentation showing the policy? Is there evidence that it's actually enforced? This is the key difference. Compliance isn't just about having rules. It's about verifying that those rules are actually being followed. Now let's talk about why companies care so much about compliance. There are 4 major drivers. First, regulations. Some industries are legally required to follow cybersecurity standards. For example, healthcare organizations follow HIPAA. Financial companies deal with SOX or PCI. Companies handling personal data must follow laws like GDPR. If they fail to comply, they can face serious fines. 2. Companies often require vendors to prove that they meet security standards before doing business together. This is why certifications like SOC 2 are so common. It's essentially a company saying, we've been audited and here's proof of our security controls working. 3. Contracts and partnerships. Large companies protect themselves by requiring their partners to meet certain security standards. Compliance becomes a part of the business agreement. 4. Trust. At the end of the day, compliance builds trust. It shows customers, regulators, and partners that security risks are being taken seriously. And in many cases, compliance is what actually forces companies to invest into cybersecurity in the first place. Now, here's one of the most important concepts to understand. Security and compliance are not the same thing. Security is about doing the work. Things like protecting systems, monitoring threats, securing networks, or even responding to incidents. Compliance is about proving the work happened. Security teams implement controls. Compliance teams document them, collect evidence, and demonstrate that the controls meet certain requirements. Hey, hope you guys are enjoying this video so far. Real quick, if you want to skip the trial and error of trying to break into cybersecurity and learn the exact GRC framework that I use to build a multi-6-figure remote career, then click the first link in the description and check out the program. Inside it, I walk you step by step through how governance, risk, and compliance and third-party risk actually work, the skills companies really care about, and how to position yourself for real cybersecurity roles without wasting time on things employers don't value. This is the exact approach I've used for myself and the same system I've used to help dozens of other people get into GRC. Everything is laid out very clearly on the page so you can see if it's a good fit for you. Now let's get back to the video. Here's a simple way to think about it. Security is locking the door. Compliance is showing proof that the door is locked. You need both. Inside a real organization, compliance usually revolves around 4 key elements. Number 1, policies. Policies define the company's security rules. For example, password policies, access management policies, incident response policies. 2, controls. Controls are the safeguards that enforce those policies. For example, a policy might say laptops must be encrypted. The control is the system that ensures the encryption is enabled. 3, evidence. Evidence proves that the control is actually working. Examples include system configuration screenshots, logs, reports, and documentation. 4, audits. Audits verify that an organization's controls meet certain standards. And here's something important to understand. Compliance is not a one-time event. It's continuous. Systems change, employees change, risks evolve. So compliance is ongoing work. How audits work. Audits sound intimidating, but they follow a pretty predictable process. The organization gathers policies, documentation, and evidence. Auditors review materials like system configurations, policies, logs, and reports. Auditors then determine whether the controls meet the required standard. If something is missing or incorrect, it becomes a finding. The company needs to fix this issue. This is called remediation. Audits aren't random inspections. They're structured evaluations designed to verify that security practices match what the organization claims. What counts as compliance evidence? Evidence is the backbone of compliance. Without evidence, compliance doesn't exist. Common examples include documentation, screenshots, system logs, approval records, reports from security tools, employee training records, and change management tickets. All of these help demonstrate that security controls are functioning. Evidence connects the policy to the real-world action. Who is involved in compliance work? Compliance work usually involves multiple teams. Security teams implement technical controls. GRC or compliance teams organize documentation and coordinate audits. Auditors review the evidence and validate the organization's claims. Leadership oversees the program and ensures requirements are being met. Sometimes legal or privacy teams are involved as well. So compliance is rarely owned just by one person. It's a collaborative effort across the entire organization. How compliance work shows up day to day. Day-to-day compliance work often includes things like reviewing documentation, collecting evidence, responding to auditors' requests, tracking issues or findings, coordinating with different teams, and preparing for upcoming audits. A big part of the job is to make sure that policies, controls, and evidence all line up. Compliance professionals often act as the connectors between teams. Common misunderstandings about compliance. There's a few misconceptions about compliance. First, compliance isn't just paperwork. Documentation is important, but the goal is verifying real security practices. Second, compliance is not optional. For many organizations, failing compliance can lead to fines, legal issues, or losing customers. Third, compliance isn't separate from security. It's simply the structured way organizations manage and verify security practices. What beginners should focus on learning about compliance? If you're new to compliance, don't worry about memorizing every regulation. Instead, focus on 3 key concepts. Controls, the safeguards organizations implement. 2, evidence, proof that those safeguards are working. 3, audit flow, how organizations demonstrate compliance. Once you understand those 3 things, the rest becomes much easier to learn. Cybersecurity compliance is what turns security from something companies say they're doing into something they actually have to prove. Security teams implement the protections. Compliance ensures those protections are documented, verified, and accountable. Once you understand how policies, controls, evidence, and audits connect, you start to see how cybersecurity actually works on the inside of real organizations. And when that clicks, the entire cybersecurity landscape becomes much easier to understand. That's a full picture of how cybersecurity compliance works inside real companies. Once you understand compliance this way, it stops feeling like a checklist and starts making sense as a core part of cybersecurity. If this was helpful, make sure you subscribe. The channel is dedicated to giving you real, practical cybersecurity knowledge so you can build a real career without wasting time on things companies don't care about.